A COVID-positive Donald Trump has left hospital to drive past his supporters in a move slammed by doctors as irresponsible and insane. It came as the president's medical team revealed he could return to the White House as soon as tomorrow.
The president that never fails to surprise. Donald Trump leaving hospital for a drive-by, waving at crowds who have stood outside all day in support.
We've been out here for several hours today and yesterday, and it was great to see him.
Riding in an SUV, the infected president wore a cloth covering. Secret Service agents sitting in the front wearing N95 masks and PPE. Mr. Trump's fans were none the wiser until his motorcade emerged, moments after tweeting this video.
I also think we're going to pay a little surprise to some of the great patriots that we have out on the street.
I thought he was going home for a second. I was like, oh, he's going home early. And then when I realized that he was actually doing that just to come out to show us that his support of us supporting him, I mean, it was just something I'll never forget it.
The President of the United States has left hospital. There he is, right there. Donald Trump coming out to see his fans that have been out the front cheering for him and hoping for a speedy recovery.
The stunt as surreal as it is concerning for those on board with the president. An attending physician at the medical centre tweeting, "They might get sick, they may die. For political theatre, this is insanity."
That car has been sealed against chemical attack. So the air in that car is recirculated.
Is there an increased risk? Maybe tiny, but they took measures to reduce the risk.
But a White House spokesperson said the movement was cleared by the medical team as safe to do. The president returned to Walter Reed Medical Centre for the night, but he might not be there much longer.
If he continues to look and feel as well as he does today, our hope is that we can plan for a discharge as early as tomorrow.
His physician revealing he's been treated with dexamethasone after his oxygen levels dropped.
Sometimes the immune system revs up too much, and that's where you bring the steroids in to calm it down. He's had 3 treatments which indicate that he's actually sicker than he looks or that we're hearing.
After Donald Trump's diagnosis, the Biden campaign has requested Kamala Harris and Vice President Mike Pence stand at a distance of 3.5 metres instead of just 2 at their debate later this week. As for the president, he claims to have a newfound understanding of coronavirus.
It's been a very interesting journey. I learned a lot about COVID. I learned it by really going to school. This is the real school. This isn't the let's read the book school.
In Washington, D.C., Alexis Daish, 9 News.
Trump, you have begun to increasingly question the effectiveness of masks as a disease preventer. And in fact, recently you have cited the issue of waiters touching their masks and touching plates. Are you questioning
No, I think masks
efficacy
are okay.
of
You have
masks?
to understand, if you look, I mean, I have a mask right here. I put a mask on, when I think I need it. Tonight, as an example, everybody's had a test, and you've had social distancing and all of the things that you have to, but I wear masks when needed. When needed, I wear masks.
Okay, let me ask.
I don't wear masks like him. Every time you see him, he's got a mask. He could be speaking 200 feet away from it. He shows up with the biggest mask I've ever seen. I will say this.
Vice President Biden, go ahead, sir.
Look, the way to open businesses is give them the wherewithal to be able to open. We provided money. The Congress.
But I was asking you, sir, about masks.
Well, masks make a big difference. His own head of the CDC said if we just wore masks between now, everybody wore masks in social distance between now and January, we'd probably save up to 100,000 lives. It matters.
And they've also said the opposite. They've also said
no serious person said the opposite.
They've also said, well, look
serious.
at Dr. Fauci. Dr. Fauci said the opposite.
He did not say the opposite.
We got a little bit more than a minute left in this
masks
segment.
Are not good. Then he changed his mind. He said masks good. I'm okay with masks.
I want to ask you both about one last subject, because your different approaches has even affected the way that you have campaigned. President Trump, you're holding large rallies with crowds packed together, thousands of people. Outside, yes, sir, agreed. Vice President Biden, you are holding much smaller events with...
Because nobody will show up.
People with...
Well, it's true. Nobody shows up to his rallies.
All right. In any case, why you holding the big rallies? Why you not? You go first, sir.
Because people want to hear what I have to say. I mean,
But are you not worried about
I've done a great job as a
spreading disease?
president, and I'll have 35,000 people show up at airports. We use airports.
Are you
for
not worried
hangars,
about
and we
the
have a
disease
lot of
issues,
people.
sir?
Well, so far, we have had no problem whatsoever. It's outside. That's a big difference, according to the experts. And we do them outside. We have tremendous crowds, as you see. I mean, and literally on 24 hours notice. And Joe does the circles and has 3 people someplace.
Okay.
By the way, did you see
sir.
one of the last big rallies he had? And a reporter came up to him to ask him a question. He said, no, stand back. Put on your mask. Put on a mask. Have you been tested? I'm way far away from those other people. That's what he said. I can't. I'm going to be okay. He's not worried about you. He's not worried about the people out there breathing in one another.
We've had no negative effect.
No negative effect.
We've had no negative effect. And we've had 35,000, 40,000 people at these rallies.
Just quickly finish up because I want to move on to our next.
Yes, I would. He's been totally irresponsible the way in which he has handled the social distancing and people wearing masks, basically encouraged them not to.
All right.
He's a fool on this.
If you could get the crowds, you would have done the same thing. But you can't. Nobody cares.
Gentlemen, can we move on to the...
cares.
Gentlemen.
President Trump is hailing today's stock market jump, using it to talk up the economy and press states to quickly reopen. But as the U.S. approaches 100,000 COVID deaths, the president's Democratic opponent is offering a new pointed attack on Mr. Trump's leadership during this crisis. Ben Tracy reports tonight from the White House.
It was a stark contrast on Memorial Day. President Trump without a mask. His November opponent, former Vice President Joe Biden, wearing one. The president then retweeted someone making fun of how Biden looked. Today, the president seemed confused as to when you're supposed to wear a mask.
Biden can wear a mask, but he was standing outside with his wife, perfect conditions, perfect weather. They're inside, they don't wear masks, and so I thought it was very unusual that he had one on.
The former vice president hit back this afternoon.
He's a fool, an absolute fool to talk that way. I mean, every leading doc in the world is saying we should wear a mask when you're in a crowd.
Meanwhile, President Trump continues his long-running feud with MSNBC host Joe Scarborough, tweeting 6 times about a debunked conspiracy theory that the former Republican congressman killed one of his young staff members, Lori Klasutis, in 2001.
It's a very suspicious thing, and I hope somebody gets to the bottom of it.
Whether it's the president or whether it's people following the president, it is unspeakably cruel.
Her husband Timothy sent a letter to Twitter asking them to delete the president's tweets. He wrote, "The president of the United States has taken something that does not belong to him, the memory of my dead wife, and perverted it for perceived political gain." Twitter apologized for his loss, but said it won't remove the president's tweets. Twitter is not removing the president's tweets, but for the first time it is fact-checking him. In 2 recent tweets, the president has falsely claimed that mail-in ballots are fraudulent. The site now links to information showing that the president's claims are unsubstantiated. Now, all of this has overshadowed what the White House wanted their big announcement to be today, and that is that insulin costs for seniors are now being capped at $35 a month. Nora.
All right, Ben Tracy at the White House tonight. Thank you.
Mask wars is heating up. The president now chastising a reporter for choosing to keep his on.
I couldn't hear you. Can you take it off because I cannot hear you?
I'll just speak louder, sir.
Oh, okay, good. You want to be politically correct. Go ahead.
No, sir, I just want to wear the mask.
Joe Biden blasted Trump for mocking him for wearing a mask.
He's a fool, an absolute fool to talk that way.
He changed his Twitter profile picture to the photo that was used to mock him.
This macho stuff for a guy, well, I shouldn't get going, but it just is, it's cost people's lives. It's costing people's lives.
Now, one of the president's biggest supporters, Fox News' Sean Hannity, is weighing in on that video of the Lake of the Ozarks pool party over Memorial Day weekend.
please wear the mask. Do it for your mom, your dad, your grandma, your grandpa.
The owner of the bar is speaking out today, saying in a statement, no laws were broken. He says the temperatures of all the revelers were checked before they were allowed in. We're seeing some troubling new numbers today. The death toll here in the U.S. has officially surpassed 100,000. And there's another stat that shows the impact the shutdown is having on the nation's mental health. 30% of all Americans are said to now be suffering from anxiety or depression after 3 months of isolation and soaring unemployment.
We're not used to being so vulnerable. We're not used to being cooped up. We're not used to being isolated from the friends and family members that we love so much. And also at the same time, having our own existential fears. This is a pandemic. People are dying from it. People are contracting serious illnesses. And that leads us to feel very out of control.
And an extraordinary exchange took place live on cable TV today.
You panicked about the market, panicked about COVID, panicked about the ventilators.
Two anchors at CNBC got into a shouting match over how each other has reacted to the COVID crisis.
100,000 people died, Joe, and all you did was try to help your friend, the president. That's what you did. Every single morning on this show. Every single morning on this show. You have used and abused your position, Joe.
That's totally unfair.
You have used and abused your position.